The Dark Arts of Machiavelli, analyzing the 8 essential principles for power. Machiavelli's The Prince remains one of the most discussed and controversial works in the history of political philosophy. Written in 1513, it offers a candid and unflinching analysis of power politics, detailing the cunning and ruthless strategies required to gain and hold political power. His ideas are as sharp as a blade, yet for all their practical brilliance, they lack one key ingredient: moral depth. In this section, we will explore his 8 essential principles of power and juxtapose them with the Stoic path, which provides a far more dignified and enduring way of achieving personal mastery. 1. The ends justify the means. Machiavelli teaches that in the pursuit of power, the moral quality of one's actions is secondary to their effectiveness. If achieving a goal requires deception, cruelty, or manipulation, so be it. This concept has been distilled into the phrase, "the ends justify the means." But what of the Stoic ideal? The Stoic path insists that the means are just as important as the ends. In fact, the pursuit of virtue, the practice of moral excellence, is the end in itself. A Stoic does not act out of self-interest or a desire to dominate, but rather out of duty to uphold virtue. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, reminds us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your means are corrupt, so too will be your ends. This does not merely apply to politics, but to all areas of life. The Stoic understands that to achieve lasting peace and true power, one must pursue the right actions, not just the right outcomes. The pursuit of virtue ensures that one remains grounded, unshaken by the fleeting temptations of immediate success. In the Stoic worldview, honor and integrity are not negotiable. This is the foundation on which true strength is built. 2. It is better to be feared. Machiavelli asserts that it is often more advantageous for a ruler to be feared than loved. Fear can be controlled, while love is unpredictable and fleeting. A ruler who is feared can keep their subjects in line, and fear is less likely to disappear as quickly as affection. But this is a fleeting and ultimately hollow form of power. The Stoic path emphasizes that love, rooted in respect, trust, and empathy, is far stronger than fear. The Stoic does not seek to control others through fear, for to do so is to make one's own peace dependent on the instability of others' emotions. Instead, a Stoic leads by example, cultivating virtues that inspire respect and admiration. Seneca, in his letters, speaks of the power of virtue. A good character is not to be forced, but to be earned. It is the finest reward that comes not from others' fear of you, but from their respect for what you embody. A Stoic seeks to earn influence through the strength of character, not the force of intimidation. True power is built from within and radiates outward, like a flame that draws people to it rather than a tyrant's whip that drives them away. 3. A prince should be merciless when necessary. Machiavelli claims that a ruler must not hesitate to employ cruelty when it is necessary to maintain control and achieve political stability. Compassion in this view is a weakness, while cold pragmatism is the hallmark of a ruler who will endure. Yet this is a fallacy when viewed through the Stoic lens. A Stoic would argue that mercy and compassion are not weaknesses, but virtues of the highest order. In fact, the capacity for mercy is indicative of true power, for it arises from the ability to control one's own anger and to act from reason, not emotion. Epictetus teaches that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, that we may listen more than we speak. To act out of mercy, to show kindness in the face of cruelty, requires immense strength. It is the Stoic who does not lash out in anger or seek retribution when wronged. Instead, the Stoic remains steadfast in their pursuit of wisdom and virtue, offering forgiveness and understanding where others might act harshly. 4. Avoiding flattery and popularity. Machiavelli warns that a ruler must avoid becoming overly concerned with the affection of the masses. It is important not to be swayed by the flattery of others, for this can cloud judgment and lead to decisions that are not in one's best interest. Instead, one must focus on the loyalty of the right people, those who can help maintain power. While there is truth to the idea of avoiding false praise, a Stoic would not be concerned with popularity or approval from others in the first place. The Stoic seeks to live according to nature and reason, not to win favor or applause from the crowd. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, says. 5. Create an image of strength. Machiavelli advises that appearances are often more important than reality. A ruler must create a strong image of power, even if they lack the true strength behind it. The image of strength can deter potential enemies and keep the populace in check. To the Stoic, strength is not something to be manufactured or projected. It is something to be cultivated internally. Embracing self-control, the true power of resilience. The greatest power one can possess is not the ability to control others, but the ability to control oneself. Machiavelli's cold, calculating principles rest on the idea of manipulating external circumstances to one's benefit. But the Stoic knows that lasting power comes from within. A true Stoic is one who has mastered the inner battle, taming their emotions and thoughts so that they are no longer swept away by the whims of passion or desire. Mastery over destructive emotions. In the face of power struggles, emotions such as fear, anger, envy, and jealousy often surface with overwhelming intensity. These emotions, if unchecked, can lead to rash decisions, moral compromise, and a spiral into unethical behavior. Machiavelli's principles might encourage the use of such emotions to control others, but the Stoic takes a radically different approach. We know that emotions, though natural, are not to be acted upon blindly. To allow them to rule us is to relinquish our agency, and with it, our true power. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, urges us to reflect on how we are affected by external events. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. These words remind us that much of our distress arises from our own perception of events, not the events themselves. A Stoic recognizes that to react impulsively, especially with anger or fear, is to lose sight of reason and wisdom. Imagine for a moment a ruler or a leader caught in a fierce storm of power struggles, surrounded by rivals, scheming allies, and public pressure. The world clamors for action, demanding a response. To act in haste or out of anger, to wield force without thought, is to give away your inner sovereignty. It is to be at the mercy of others' emotions, to surrender your judgment to the whims of those who seek to provoke you. A Stoic leader, by contrast, would remain calm and composed. They would meet the chaos of the world with inner peace, recognizing that external events are beyond their control, but their responses are entirely within their power. In the midst of a power struggle, they would pause, reflect, and act only in accordance with their higher values. Self-control for the Stoic is not just an act of restraint, it is an act of strength, one that asserts the power of reason over the chaos of unchecked emotions. The power of patience and endurance resilience is the ability to endure and remain steadfast in the face of adversity, and patience is one of the Stoic's most powerful tools in this regard. The Stoic does not seek immediate results or gratification, but understands that true power is the result of persistent, disciplined effort over time. In a world that seeks quick success, fast promotions, and instant gratification, the Stoic path is a slow and deliberate one. We may not always see the fruits of our efforts immediately, and others may rise faster or more spectacularly, but we know that true and lasting power comes only to those who persist, who face challenges with unwavering resolve, and who maintain their integrity through every trial. The Stoic does not fall victim to the pressure of the moment. They understand that everything in life is transient, and power too can be fleeting. What remains, however, is their own character, their resilience in the face of hardship, and their ability to endure without compromise. In the face of Machiavellian tactics, whether manipulation, deceit, or coercion, the Stoic does not react out of fear or anger. Instead, they allow time to reveal the truth. They know that the true measure of power is not in how quickly one rises, but in how gracefully one endures challenges. It is through this endurance that the Stoic becomes a figure of true strength, one whose power is not dependent on the shifting winds of fortune, but rooted in an unshakable foundation of virtue. The Stoic path, strength beyond manipulation. As we continue on the Stoic journey, we are confronted with the constant temptation of immediate gratification, the desire for dominance, and the external forces that attempt to pull us away from our higher purpose. These temptations may seem irresistible, particularly when we are surrounded by Machiavellian tactics that promise power, influence, and success through calculated manipulation, fear, and deceit. But the Stoic understands something much deeper, a truth that transcends the world of power struggles. True strength is not found in controlling others, but in mastering oneself. The Stoics challenge, transcending destructive emotions. In any power struggle, whether in politics, business, or personal relationships, destructive emotions will rise. They are the weapons that Machiavelli encourages us to wield, but they are also the very forces that will tear us apart if we allow them to take root. The Stoic sees emotions not as enemies, but as opportunities for growth, tests of character that, if faced with wisdom, can lead to true power. Consider the emotion of anger. Anger is often seen as a tool for action, a fire that can propel us to take bold steps. But uncontrolled anger is a destructive force. It clouds judgment, pushes us toward rash decisions, and leads to outcomes that are driven by emotion rather than reason. The Stoic, however, faces anger not with avoidance, but with a disciplined mind. Epictetus teaches, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The Stoic does not allow anger to control them. Instead, they take a step back, pause, and reflect before responding. In a Machiavellian world, anger can be harnessed to manipulate, to instill fear, and to assert dominance. But for the Stoic, this is the very thing that makes one vulnerable. When we act out of anger, we act from a place of weakness. True power lies in our ability to rise above our emotion, to let go of the impulse to retaliate, and to act in accordance with reason and virtue. The power of detachment, freedom from external control. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the idea of detachment. A Stoic does not become attached to external outcomes or circumstances. Whether it is the praise of others, the pursuit of wealth, or the desire for power, the Stoic recognizes that these things are fleeting and outside of their control. The Stoic focuses instead on the internal realm, the cultivation of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. When we are attached to external outcomes, we give away our power. We become slaves to the opinions of others, to the shifting tides of fortune, and to the demands of those who seek to control us. But the Stoic remains free. They know that true power lies not in the external world, but in the mind, the heart, and the spirit. By detaching from external outcomes and focusing on our internal response to them, we reclaim our power. This detachment does not mean indifference or passivity. Far from it. The Stoic is deeply engaged with the world, taking action when necessary, but always in alignment with their values. They do not act out of fear, greed, or pride, but from a place of inner wisdom and integrity. The Stoic practice, building resilience. Through adversity, true power is not something that can be acquired overnight, nor is it something that comes from smooth, easy path. It is forged in the fire of adversity. The Stoic embraces challenges as opportunities to grow stronger, to develop wisdom, and to deepen their character. Every trial, every difficulty is seen not as a burden, but as a training ground. Consider the story of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who faced one of the most tumultuous reigns in history. Throughout his life, Marcus faced war, political intrigue, personal loss, and public unrest. Yet he remained unwavering in his commitment to Stoic philosophy. In his meditation, he reflects on the Stoic commitment, living a life of purpose and integrity. The Stoic path, though challenging, offers us the most profound and lasting form of power. It is not a path for the faint-hearted. It requires courage to face the world's temptations and trials, and wisdom to discern between fleeting pleasure and lasting fulfillment. A Stoic's commitment is not to power for power's sake, but to a life of virtue, wisdom, and emotional mastery. In doing so, they attain a power far greater than any that can be gained through manipulation, fear, or control. The inner fortress, building unshakable resilience. We have already established that true power lies in self-mastery. But how does one build this unshakable resilience? How do we transform ourselves from individuals subject to every emotional impulse and external disturbance into Stoic who are impervious to the chaos around them? The key to Stoic resilience is the development of an inner fortress. This fortress is built through consistent practice, through meditation, reflection, and conscious decision-making that aligns our actions with our highest virtues. The Stoic understands that external events are beyond our control, but our internal responses to those events are always ours to command. To master ourselves, we must first understand our emotions, confront them, and develop the discipline to act with reason, even in moments of intense adversity. This requires consistent self-examination. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations is an example of a leader who took the time every day to reflect on his actions, thoughts, and emotion. He asks himself, what did I do today that was in alignment with my values? What did I allow to distract me from my purpose? This self-awareness is the foundation of Stoic resilience. By regularly checking ourselves, by acknowledging our flaws, and making a concerted effort to correct them, we build a mental fortitude that allows us to withstand any external pressure. This practice of self-reflection, alongside Stoic exercises like mindfulness, journaling, and contemplative meditation, helps the Stoic gain mastery over their emotions. It also brings clarity of purpose. Through this clarity, we no longer seek power through dominance or control. We seek to empower ourselves and others through the force of wisdom, virtue, and self-discipline. The role of virtue in the Stoic path. Virtue for the Stoic is not merely a set of ethical guidelines. It is the very essence of the life worth living. It is not about following rules because society expects, but about developing the qualities that allow us to live in harmony with nature and reason. These virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, are the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy, and they provide us with the true path to power. Wisdom allows us to discern what is truly important in life and to understand the nature of the world around us. It teaches us to see things as they are, without distortion or delusion, and guides our actions so that they align with the greater good. Courage empowers us to face life's challenges head-on, to stand firm in our beliefs, and to act in accordance with our principles, even when it is difficult or unpopular. The Stoic knows that without courage, we cannot endure hardship or pursue our purpose with integrity. Justice is the commitment to fairness and the common good. It reminds us that our actions must be guided by a sense of moral responsibility toward others. In the pursuit of power, this virtue ensures that we do not exploit or manipulate others for our own gain, but instead serve as a leader who embodies the highest ethical standard. Temperance teaches us to master our desires and to avoid excess. The Stoic does not seek indulgence or the fleeting pleasures that come with power. Instead, they maintain control over their appetites and stay focused on what is truly meaningful and valuable in life. Together, these virtues provide the Stoic with the tools to navigate the world and its many challenges with grace and wisdom. They are the foundation upon which true power is built. To be truly powerful, we must cultivate these virtues in ourselves and make them the cornerstone of every action we take. It is not power over others that brings us true strength, but power over ourselves, the power to live virtuously, regardless of the circumstances. Facing challenges with Stoic grace. As we face the power struggles of our lives, whether in personal relationship, professional endeavor, or larger societal dynamic, the Stoic understands that every challenge is an opportunity to practice virtue. No matter how intense the pressure may become, the Stoic maintains composure, resilience, and focus on their values. Imagine a scenario where you face intense competition, where others around you are using Machiavellian tactics, deception, manipulation, and intimidation to try to gain an advantage. The Stoic response is not to meet them with the same tactic, but to transcend them. Instead of allowing anger, jealousy, or fear to control your action, you remain calm, grounded, and thoughtful. You don't react impulsively or rashly. You respond with wisdom and integrity. You remember that true power lies not in defeating others through cunning, but in maintaining your own virtue and staying true to your moral compass. In such moments, the Stoic draws on their inner strength. They rely on their wisdom to see the situation clearly and without distortion. They use their courage to stand firm in their values, even in the face of opposition. They practice justice by treating others with respect, regardless in return. And they show temperance by resisting the urge to retaliate or escalate conflict. By embodying these virtues, the Stoic does not just survive power struggles, they transcend them. While others are entangled in a web of deceit, manipulation, and self-interest, the Stoic remains unshaken. Their inner fortress is intact, their actions align with their values, and their peace undisturbed. The world around them may be in turmoil, but the Stoic has mastered the art of remaining composed in the face of adversity, the lasting power of virtue over time. One of the most remarkable aspects of Stoic power is that it is not reliant on the transient conditions of the world. Power obtained through manipulation, fear, or coercion is fleeting, often crumbling as quickly as it is gained. Machiavelli's advice might win short-term victory, but it does not provide a lasting foundation for influence. The Stoic, by contrast, builds their power on the enduring qualities of virtue, wisdom, and emotional resilience. Over time, the Stoics' influence grows not because of manipulation, but because of the trust, respect, and admiration they earn from others. Their strength lies not in their ability to control or dominate, but in their consistent alignment with virtue, their calm in the face of turmoil, and their unyielding commitment to wisdom. This power is like a deep-rooted tree that withstands storms and time, offering shelter and guidance to those around. True power, as the Stoics understood, is not the ability to force others into submission or to dominate them through fear. It is the ability to live in accordance with nature, to live a life of purpose and integrity, and to guide others through example. It is a power that is grounded in wisdom, not in domination. It is a power that emerges from within, and it endures because it is built on the solid foundation of virtue. The power of peace of mind. Perhaps the most profound form of Stoic power is the peace of mind that comes from inner tranquility. This peace is not the result of external circumstance, nor does it depend on the approval or submission of others. It comes from within, from the cultivation of a clear and disciplined mind, one that is free from the chaos of destructive emotions. In the world of Machiavelli, peace of mind is often sacrificed for the sake of gaining power. The pursuit of domination is fraught with anxiety, fear of betrayal, and the constant need to control and deceive. But for the Stoic, peace of mind is the greatest form of power. It is a power that cannot be taken away by the actions of others, a power that transcends external circumstances. Seneca, in his Letters from a Stoic, offers the wisdom that no man is free who is not master of himself. The Stoic finds peace not by avoiding conflict, but by mastering their internal responses to it. They are not troubled by the turmoil of the external world because they have cultivated an inner calm that is impervious to external pressure. This peace is the ultimate form of power, for it is unshakable, rooted in wisdom, and entirely within the Stoics' control. In contrast to Machiavellian tactics, which lead to a constant state of unease, the Stoics' peace of mind allows them to navigate life's challenges with clarity and grace. Their decisions are not clouded by anger, fear, or greed, but by reason and virtue. In a world full of instability and uncertainty, the Stoic stands firm, unshaken by the shifting tides of fortune. The art of leading by example. A Stoic leader does not manipulate, deceive, or instill fear. They lead by example. Their strength comes not from controlling others, but from demonstrating what true virtue looks like in action. They inspire respect, not through coercion, but through the power of their character. In a Machiavellian world, leadership is often about creating a facade of strength and invulnerability. A leader must appear dominant, unassailable, and always in control. But the Stoic leader understands that true strength lies in vulnerability. The vulnerability to admit mistakes, to acknowledge weaknesses, and to continue to grow and learn. The Stoic leader of perfection or invulnerability. Instead, they embrace their humanity and use their actions as a mirror for others. By demonstrating patience, humility, and self-restraint, the Stoic leader shows others that power is not about dominating through fear, but about empowering through example. Their leadership is not coercive, but magnetic. People are drawn to the Stoic leader because they embody the very qualities they admire: wisdom, compassion, resilience, and integrity. A Stoic leader's true power lies not in commanding obedience, but in fostering respect. They lead not through external force, but through their ability to consistently act in alignment with their core value. They don't need to enforce loyalty through manipulation or fear, because the integrity of their character inspires loyalty and admiration naturally. Their influence grows from their ability to stay grounded in their principle, regardless of the challenges they face or the pressures from those around them. This type of leadership is timeless. It does not fade with the whims of fortune, nor is it contingent on public opinion. It is rooted in deep moral principles that withstand the test of time. This is the kind of influence that remains, that endures even after the storms of conflict have passed. A Stoic leader's legacy is built not on the fear they instilled in others, but on the lives they touched, the values they upheld, and the example they set. The lasting influence of Stoic virtue. Ultimately, the Stoic way is about living in alignment with your highest value: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, and allowing those values to guide you through all aspects of life. It is about embracing each moment with mindfulness and intention, and choosing actions that reflect your deepest virtue. This commitment to living virtuously, regardless of external circumstance, is the true measure of power. The Stoic understands that the true measure of a person's influence is not their ability to control or manipulate, but their ability to embody their values consistently over time. This is the type of power that leaves a legacy not based on fear or coercion, but on the strength of character. This is the kind of influence that can shape the world, that can inspire others to live more virtuously and more meaningfully. Machiavellian principles may offer a quick path to power, but they come at a cost to one's integrity, to one's soul. The Stoic path, by contrast, is a slower, more deliberate journey, but one that leads to a deeper, more enduring power, a power that is built on the foundation of wisdom, courage, and virtue. As you walk the Stoic path, you cultivate the true strength that comes from living in alignment with your deepest value. In a world that constantly pushes us toward manipulation, deceit, and power game, the Stoic stands firm. They are not concerned with controlling others, but with mastering themselves. They do not need to manipulate others for success, because their success is rooted in their own character and integrity. Daily life. The essence of Stoicism is not found in grand declarations or intellectual exercises alone, but in the consistent application of its principles in everyday life. The true measure of a Stoic lies in how they respond to the challenges and temptations that arise daily. It is in the smallest moments, in our interactions with others, in the choices we make when no one is watching, where the Stoic path is truly embodied. This daily commitment to virtue requires more than just knowledge. It demands action. The Stoic understands that their actions must reflect their belief, that their character must be tested and refined in the face of adversity. Each day presents an opportunity to practice patience, resilience, and wisdom. It is not enough to merely know the Stoic teaching. The Stoic strives to live. For example, when faced with an unexpected setback, the Stoic's first instinct is not to react with frustration or anger, but to pause and reflect. What is in their control? How can they respond with grace and wisdom? Rather than seeing the setback as an obstacle, the Stoic sees it as a chance to practice virtue and exercise their resilience. When faced with personal challenges or conflicts with others, the Stoic again turns inward. They ask themselves, how can I respond to this situation with justice and temperance? How can I avoid letting my emotions govern my action? By responding with measured calm, by choosing integrity over expedience, the Stoic not only maintains their peace, but also strengthens their character. Self-reflection, the core of Stoic growth. Central to the Stoic way is the practice of self-reflection. This is not merely about assessing our actions, but about understanding our motivations and examining how we are living in accordance with our values. Each day offers the opportunity for self-examination. The Stoic will reflect on what went well, what could have been done better, and what lessons can be drawn from both successes and failures. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, exemplified this approach. Every night he would reflect on his actions, reminding himself of the Stoic virtues that he sought to embody. He would ask, did I act with wisdom today? Was I just in my dealings with others? Did I demonstrate courage and resolve in the face of adversity? Through this ongoing process of self-reflection, the Stoic continually refines their character, ensuring that they are living in alignment with their highest ideals. This is a key aspect of Stoic leadership as well. A true Stoic leader does not simply act according to their own desires or needs. They consistently assess their decisions to ensure that they are acting with integrity, fairness, and wisdom. They regularly ask themselves if their actions are in harmony with the values they profess. This practice of self-reflection is what allows the Stoic leader to adapt, grow, and inspire others, even in the midst of uncertainty or adversity. Stoicism in the face of adversity. In a world rife with challenges, adversity is an inevitable part of life. Yet where others see defeat, the Stoic sees an opportunity for growth. They understand that hardship is a part of the human experience, but it is also an opportunity to exercise virtue and resilience. The Stoic does not shy away from adversity. They meet it head-on, armed with the principles of wisdom, courage, and temperance. Consider a situation where someone might try to undermine the Stoic, to manipulate or control. A Machiavellian approach would lead to a counterattack, either to manipulate back or to engage in a power struggle. But the Stoic instead remains calm and composed. They do not let anger or fear cloud their judgment. Instead, they ask themselves, what is in my control? How can I respond in a way that aligns with my values? By remaining steadfast, not reacting impulsive, and instead choosing a path of measured, virtuous act, the Stoic diffuses the situation. Their strength lies in their ability to remain calm and clear-headed, no matter how turbulent the circumstances. And it is in these moments of adversity where the Stoic truly shines, where their resilience and wisdom become a beacon for others to follow. Mastery over desire, the path to true freedom. A central tenet of Stoic philosophy is the mastery over desire. In a world that constantly bombards us with messages of consumption, materialism, and fleeting pleasures, the Stoic path offers a radical alternative. The Stoic does not reject pleasure outright, but they understand that true freedom comes from the ability to live without excessive attachment to desire. They cultivate Stoic seeks to live a life devoid of enjoyment or happiness. On the contrary, Stoicism teaches that we should appreciate the pleasures of life, but not be enslaved by them. The Stoic avoids becoming dependent on external things, be it status or sensory pleasure, because such attachments can cloud judgment, create anxiety, and lead to suffering when those things are inevitably lost or taken away. Instead, the Stoic focuses on finding contentment within themselves. This self-sufficiency allows them to remain steady regardless of external circumstances. Whether they are living in abundance or facing hard, the Stoic's inner peace is not shaken. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few want. By focusing on cultivating what is in their control, virtue, wisdom, and inner strength, the Stoic creates a life that is not dictated by fleeting desire, but shaped by enduring principles. This mastery over desire is also crucial in the face of success or failure. In the pursuit of power or achievement, it is easy to become swept up in the desire for constantly chasing recognition, titles, or material wealth. The Stoic, however, understands that these things are ultimately empty. True contentment lies not in what we acquire, but in how we live and who we become. Thus, the Stoic does not see themselves as bound to the pursuit of external reward. Instead, they focus on developing their character, knowing that this is the key to lasting fulfillment. Stoic practices for daily growth. To truly walk the Stoic path, it is essential to incorporate Stoic practices into daily life. These practices help reinforce the core tenets of Stoicism and serve as a guide when faced with life's inevitable challenge. By making Stoic reflection a daily habit, we deepen our understanding of its principles and solidify them into our character. Here are some key Stoic practices that can be implemented each morning. Reflect. Upon waking, take a moment to reflect on the day ahead. Ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? How can I respond with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance? This brief reflection helps you set the tone for the day, reminding you to remain grounded in virtue regardless of external events. Journal. At the end of each day, reflect on your actions and choices. Did you respond to challenges with wisdom and patience? Did you allow emotions like anger or envy to guide your decisions? Through journaling, the Stoic is able to assess their behavior, learn from mistakes, and commit to growth. This practice encourages continuous self-improvement and strengthens resolve. Contemplation of the dichotomy of control. A central concept in Stoicism is distinguishing between what is within our control and what is. At various points throughout the day, remind yourself that you can control only your thoughts, actions, and reactions. Everything else is beyond your influence. By recognizing, you free yourself from anxiety and frustration over things outside your control. Negative visualization. This is a practice where you imagine the worst-case scenario in a given situation. For example, consider what it would be like to lose something important, such as a job, a relationship, or financial stability. By contemplating potential loss, you prepare yourself for adversity and help diminish the fear that comes with the possibility of loss. This practice builds resilience and helps you appreciate what you have in the present. Gratitude. At the end of the day, take time to reflect on the things you are grateful for. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking to what is abundant in your life. It reinforces the Stoic understanding that happiness does not come from external circumstances, but from within. through our mindset, actions, and relationships. Mindful decision. In every decision, large or small, pause and ask yourself, what is the wise and virtuous choice? Rather than reacting impulsively, the Stoic takes time to consider their value and the long-term consequences of their action. This mindful approach leads to more thoughtful decisions aligned with one's deeper principles. The Stoic response to power struggle. Power struggles are a part of life, particularly in environments like the workplace, politics, and even personal relationships. Bring out the worst in people, fueling competition, jealousy, manipulation, and in these moments, the Stoic stands up, choosing not to engage in the same games of control and manipulation. Instead, they respond with wisdom, patience, and grace, understanding that the true measure of power lies not in overcoming others, but in mastering oneself. When involved in power struggles, the Stoic doesn't act out of ego or desire for dominance. They understand that external circumstances, be they conflicts, disputes, or challenges, are beyond their control. And so they focus on what they can control, their own thoughts, emotions, and actions. If others try to manipulate them or pull them into a power struggle, the Stoic does not retaliate with equal force or deceit. Instead, they respond with calmness and integrity, recognizing that the actions of others do not dictate their own. By staying true to their values, they demonstrate a strength that cannot be shaken by the whims of others. In this way, they rise above the petty conflicts of power, creating a sense of inner peace and clarity that others cannot. The Stoic is aware that, in many cases, power struggles are driven by the insecurities and fears of those. People may seek control to protect themselves, assert their worth, or gain validation. The Stoic understands, and rather than being swept up in these emotions, they offer a different kind of strength, one that doesn't need to prove itself by overpowering others, but by remaining calm, rational, and just in all situations. This is not a passive resignation to being walked over or missed. The Stoic will stand firm when necessary, acting with courage, fairness, and wisdom. They may engage in difficult conversations, set boundaries, and assert their value, but always with the knowledge that the true measure of power lies in their own integrity, not in defeating others. The Stoic influence through integrity. In positions of leadership, the Stoic path is particularly profound. True leadership is not about commanding power or controlling. It is about guiding others through example. The Stoic leader is not driven by the need to dominate or manipulate, but by the desire to help others, to encourage integrity, and to embody the virtues that they seek to inspire in those around. The Stoic leader recognizes that their influence is not based on their ability to force others to comply with their, but on the trust and respect they earn through their act. People are inspired not by the display of power, but by the consistency and authenticity of the leader's character. As the Stoic philosopher and emperor Marcus Aurelius wastes no more time arguing about what a good man should be, the Stoic leader practices humility and self-awareness. They admit when they are wrong, learn from their mistakes, and actively seek to improve themselves. They also understand that their decisions impact those they lead, so they make those decisions thoughtfully and with always striving for justice, fairness, and the greater good. Above all, the Stoic leader embodies calmness and resilience in the face of adversity. While others might succumb to the stress and drama of power struggles, the Stoic leader remains unshaken. They respond to challenges with clear-headedness, knowing that their role is not to react impulsively, but to steer the ship through the storm with wisdom, integrity, and a steady. In this way, the Stoic leader builds a lasting influence that is grounded in trust and respect, not fear or manipulation. Their power is not external, but in a reflection of the strength they have cultivated within themselves. This is a form of leadership that inspires loyalty and admiration, and it is based on the enduring foundation of virtue, not the transient games of control and manipulation. The enduring value of Stoic resilience. Resilience is one of the core values of Stoic philosophy. Life will inevitably present challenges, suffering, loss, failure, and conflict. But the Stoic does not see these challenges as threats. They view them as opportunities for growth, for practicing virtue, and for refining their character. This resilience is not about being invulnerable to harm. It is about developing the strength to face it head-on without being crushed. A Stoic understands that suffering is part of the human experience, but that it does not have to define. Instead, we can choose how to respond to suffering, choosing to act with wisdom, courage, and grace in the face of adversity. Consider the example of Seneca, who faced political exile, imprisonment, and personal loss throughout his life. Yet despite these challenges, he continued to write and teach the Stoic philosophy, using his own experiences to demonstrate the power of resilience. In his letters from a Stoic, Seneca, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. For the Stoic, hardship is not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced as a chance to build strength and endurance. The Stoics' resilience is rooted in their understanding of the nature of the world. They recognize that all things are impermanent, that success, failure, all temporary. This awareness allows the Stoic to maintain perspective, knowing that no matter what they face, it will eventually pass. They are not overwhelmed by the highs or lows of life, but instead remain grounded in their principles, choosing how to respond rather than being driven by external circumstance. The Stoics' resilience comes not from denial or avoidance, but from an understanding that life's challenges are an inherent part of the. Rather than seeking to escape adversity, the Stoic embraces it as an opportunity for. When faced with pain, loss, or hardship, the Stoic asks, "What can I learn? How can I act with virtue in this situation? How can I maintain my integrity and character, no matter the outcome?" This resilience is also key to dealing with external power. Power struggles often arise from the desire to assert control over circumstances, to manipulate others, or to force a desired outcome. But the Stoic recognizes that much of life is beyond their control. Instead of fighting against what they cannot change, the Stoic focuses on their own response, maintaining an inner peace that cannot be disturbed by external events. They do not become overwhelmed by the chaos or uncertainty, but stand firm in their values, letting the winds of life blow over them without losing their. The Stoic approach to external power and influence. While Stoics do not seek external power through domination, coercion, or manipulation, this does not mean that Stoics shy away from it. In fact, a true Stoic's life is one of profound influence, but the nature of their influence is different from that of those who seek power for its own. The Stoic understands that influence comes not from controlling, but from being a living example of virtue. When people observe a Stoic's resilience, wisdom, and integrity in the face of challenge, they are inspired by the Stoics. This type of influence is not about asserting one's will over others, but about leading by living in accordance with one's values and virtues. People follow the Stoic not because they are forced to, but because they admire the Stoic's strength and integrity. The Stoics' influence comes from the way they handle adversity, treat others with respect, and consistently act with wisdom and fairness. They are not driven by the desire for external validation or recognition, but by the desire to live a virtuous life. As a result, their influence is rooted in trust and respect, not fear or manipulation. In a world where power is often sought through coercion or domination, the Stoics' approach stands in stark contrast. The Stoics' power comes from within, from their ability to master their own emotions, thoughts, and actions. This inner strength allows them to remain steady and resolute in the face of challenge, while inspiring others through their actions and the freedom of the Stoic. Ultimately, the true freedom the Stoic seeks is the freedom of the mind. This freedom is not contingent on external circumstances, but on the ability to remain undisturbed by the forces outside of one's control. The Stoic is free because they are not enslaved by external events or the opinions of. They choose how to respond to life's challenges, and in doing so, they free themselves from the tyranny of emotion, desire, and external circumstance. The Stoic mind is a fortress, solid, resilient, and unshaken by this mental freedom is not achieved by avoiding life's difficulties, but by confronting them head-on with wisdom, courage, and patience. The Stoic understands that while we cannot control what happens, we can always control how we respond. This is the essence of inner. the ability to choose our thoughts, our reactions, and our actions, regardless of the external circumstance. For the Stoic, this mental freedom is the ultimate power. They are not dependent on the opinions of others, the outcome of their endeavors, or the external rewards that society deems valuable. True freedom is the freedom to live in accordance with virtue, to maintain peace of mind in the face of adversity, and to choose a path of wisdom and integrity, regardless of what life throws. Living with purpose and the Stoic path also offers us something invaluable, a life of purpose. And in a world that often promotes transient pleasures, material success, and the Stoic reminds us that the most fulfilling life is one lived with purpose, a purpose grounded not in external achievement, but in the pursuit of virtue and wisdom. The Stoic does not live for the approval of others or for the accumulation of wealth and status. Instead, they live for the cultivation of inner equity. Every action, every decision, and every challenge is an opportunity to practice virtues like courage, temperance, wisdom, and justice. The Stoic's purpose is to live in accordance with nature, to make virtuous choices, and to embody the highest ideals of character. This pursuit of purpose is not a lofty ideal reserved for philosophers or sages. It is something that can be integrated into every aspect of our lives, no matter how mundane or routine they may be. Whether at work, in our relationships, or in our daily actions, the Stoic strives to align everything with their core values. This alignment brings a sense of fulfillment and meaning that cannot be achieved through the accumulation of fame or fleeting. Through this purposeful living, the Stoic builds a life that is not only valuable to themselves, but also to others. By embodying virtue and wisdom, they inspire those around them to live with the same sense of integrity and purpose. In this way, the Stoic's life becomes a beacon, guiding others toward their own paths of meaning. And the Stoic in the face of one of the most powerful and transformative aspects of Stoic philosophy is its approach. In a world where death is often seen as the ultimate tragedy, the Stoic teaches us to view it as a natural and inevitable part of it. For the Stoic, death is not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be accepted as part of the human condition. The Stoic recognizes that death is beyond their control. It is inevitable, and there is no way to. Rather than fearing it, the Stoic prepares for it by living each day as if it were their last, fully embracing the present moment and focusing on what is truly important. Living a virtuous, cultivating wisdom, and fostering meaningful relations. By contemplating death, the Stoic frees themselves from the pit. They understand that the end of life is not something to be, but something to be accepted as part of the natural. This acceptance of death enables the Stoic to live more fully, without the constant anxiety or fear of what might happen. It also allows them to prioritize what truly matters, virtue, wisdom, and the well-being of others, over fleeting desires, circumstances. The Stoics' focus is on living a life aligned with their highest values, not on avoiding death or achieving immortality through fame. By accepting the inevitability of death, they are freed from the fear that often governs others' actions. This freedom, in turn, enables them to live fully and with purpose in each present. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius reflects on the fleeting nature of life. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say. The Stoic perspective on death is not one of despair, but of impact. By acknowledging death as part of the natural cycle, the Stoic is reminded that each moment is precious and must be lived with intention and this awareness of death also enhances the Stoic's ability to navigate the challenges of. When they are not preoccupied with the fear of death, they can focus on what truly cultivating, practicing virtue, and living in harmony with. In this way, the Stoic lives a life that is not dictated by fear or external pressure, but by a deep sense of purpose, resilience, and tranquility. Stoic's legacy, a life of lasting impact. The legacy of the Stoic is not one of external wealth or fame, but one of virtue, wisdom, and the Stoic's influence comes not from manipulating or achieving worldly success, but from living authentically and with. Their example serves as a beacon to others, inspiring them to live with the same steadfastness to virtue and self. The true measure of a Stoic's legacy is not how much they achieved in terms of material wealth or status, but how much they impacted others through their character and their actions. A Stoic's influence is enduring because it is based on timeless wisdom, courage, justice, and intelligence that resonate with the human experience across generations. In a world obsessed with fleeting success and external power, the Stoic offers a radically different vision of leadership and the Stoic leader does not seek to dominate, but to guide them through the example of their own. Their power is not derived from external, but from the inner strength that comes from living virtuously and consistently aligning their actions with their. This type of influence has a far-reaching impact. It inspires others to pursue wisdom, to act with integrity, and to lead lives of meaning and. The Stoics' legacy is one of quiet, lasting influence, shaping the world not through force or manipulation, but through the power of virtuous. The path of the Stoic, a lifelong. The Stoic path is a lifelong, one that requires continuous practice, self-reflection, and commitment to personal. It is not an easy, but it is one that leads to profound fulfillment and inner. The Stoic does not seek shortcuts or quick fixes. They are committed to cultivating virtue, wisdom, and emotional resilience. This path is not for those seeking immediate gratification or external. It is for those who are willing to face their own weaknesses, confront their fears, and cultivate a life of integrity. And the Stoic understands that true power lies not in controlling others or accumulating, but in mastering oneself and living with. Each day on the Stoic path is an opportunity to practice, to choose courage over, to act justly, and to maintain temperance in all. By continuously striving to live in accordance with these virtues, the Stoic not only transforms themselves, but also has a lasting impact on the world. The Stoic's response to external challenges. As we continue on this journey of self-mastery, it's important to recognize that the Stoic way doesn't remove us from the struggles of. On the contrary, it empowers us to face those challenges with grace and resilience. In a world full of chaos, power struggles, and external pressures, the Stoic is not immune to. What sets them apart is their ability to rise above it, not by avoiding or denying adversity, but by choosing how to respond with wisdom and. This powerful response begins with accepting that challenges, both small and large, are inevitable. In fact, the Stoic embraces these challenges as opportunities. The obstacles we encounter in our personal and professional lives, whether they be failure, criticism, conflict, or are not roads, but stepping stones toward building resilience. And the Stoic response is rooted in their understanding that suffering is an intrinsic part. As Seneca writes, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does. Instead of viewing challenges as obstacles to be avoided, the Stoic sees them as the very medium through which they become stronger, wiser, and more virtuous. When faced with adversity, the Stoic does not indulge in negative emotions like frustration, resentment, or. These emotions are natural but must be controlled. Rather than letting them dictate their actions, the Stoic steps back, assesses the situation objectively, and chooses a response grounded in. Their decisions are not made out of reactionary impulse, but from reason and reflection. This allows them to navigate even the most turbulent situations with calmness and clarity. Developing emotional resilience through Stoic practice. One of the key elements of Stoic philosophy is the development of emotional resilience. In a world full of distractions, temptations, and external forces that seek to destabilize, it's easy to let our emotions govern us. However, the Stoic knows that their true strength comes from controlling their emotional responses and making decisions based on reason, not on emotional impulse. The Stoic exercises emotional resilience by practicing mindfulness and reflection. One powerful Stoic practice is the dichotomy of. This practice involves discerning between things that are within our control and things that are. The Stoic focuses their energy solely on what they can, their thoughts, attitudes, and everything. How others behave, external or the outcome of situations is outside their control and therefore not worth emotion. Another useful practice is negative visual. This involves imagining the loss of things we hold, not as a means of dwelling on negative, but as a way of accepting that all things are. By contemplating the potential loss of loved ones, wealth, or success, the Stoic prepares themselves emotionally for these events. This practice helps them maintain peace in the face of loss, avoiding despair when things inevitably. By employing these practices, the Stoic fortifies their mind against external turmoil. They learn to accept that emotions will come and go, but they do not have to defend. Through discipline and emotional mastery, they create space between stimulus and response, allowing them to choose how they act rather than react impulsively. The power of reflection, a path to continuous. The Stoic is always in pursuit of self. This pursuit is not a matter of reaching a final destination, but of continual. The journey of self-mastery is endless, as we are constantly presented with opportunities to learn, adapt, and refine our. The key to continuous improvement is a practice of regularly examining our thoughts, actions, and reflection can take many forms. It might involve keeping a journal where they write down their thoughts, actions, and reactions through, especially in moments of conflict. Or by reviewing their actions, they can gain insight into their behavior, identify patterns, and take note of areas. For example, after facing a difficult situation, or the Stoic may ask themselves like, did I act? Did I choose the path of virtue, even when it was? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, practiced daily self-reflection, often writing down his thoughts in his meditation. This reflection allowed him to stay grounded in his purpose as a leader and to maintain his commitment to. By constantly evaluating his thoughts and actions, he could continually adjust and grow, ensuring that he remained in alignment with Stoic. The Stoic commitment to continuous self. While Stoicism encourages acceptance of external events, it also emphasizes the continuous effort to improve one. The Stoic path is not about achieving perfection in a moment, but about a lifelong commitment to becoming better, more virtuous, and wiser with each path. This commitment to self-improvement is at the heart of the Stoic philosophy. Unlike modern self-help philosophies that often promise quick fixes or external rules, Stoicism teaches us that true growth comes from. The Stoic recognizes that their character is shaped by their actions, decisions, and every day presents an opportunity to practice and refine virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice. To walk the Stoic path is to make continual progress toward becoming the best version of one. Not through grandiose or dramatic changes, but through small, incremental. Each decision made, each moment of reflection, and each choice to act with virtue adds to the Stoic. The Stoic is encouraged to reflect on their behavior and mindset. When they fall short of their ideals, they don't become discouraged or self-critical in a destructive. Instead, they approach their shortcomings with a mindset of learning, and they ask themselves, what can I do better? What lessons can I take from this experience to grow stronger? And this mindset turns every mistake into an opportunity for learning, not failure. The Stoic understands that true growth arises from challenges, and they embrace them as opportunities for self. In this way, the Stoic maintains a positive and productive mindset toward their own, one rooted not in burden, but in the consistent pursuit. Stoicism and the role of. The Stoic view on suffering is profound and offers a crucial insight into how we approach it. Far from being a philosophy that advocates for a life devoid of. Stoicism teaches that suffering is an inevitable part of the human. Yet Stoics embrace suffering as a catalyst for personal growth and growth. In a world that often seeks to avoid pain and hurt, the Stoic recognizes that suffering is unavoidable, and in many cases, necessary for developing resilience and. The Stoic does not see suffering as something to be feared, but as something that can be transformed through virtuous. The Stoic ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I use it to become stronger, wiser, and more By asking these questions, the Stoic does not passively accept suffering, but actively works to make it a part of their growth. They understand that hardship is not a sign of failure, but an opportunity to test and strengthen their. Seneca's famous assertion, a gem cannot be polished without action, nor a man perfected without trials, encapsulates the. Just as a diamond must undergo pressure and friction to reveal its. The Stoic believes that hardship and suffering have the power to refine our character and elevate our. By embracing this mindset, the Stoic is able to endure suffering with ease, learning from it and growing stronger in the. Stoicism and the importance of social. A key misconception about Stoicism is that it encourages withdrawal from society or indifference. In truth, Stoicism is deeply social and emphasizes our duty to contribute to the well-being of others and to act in accordance with the. The Stoic understands that they are not isolated, but part of a larger interconnect. This awareness fosters a deep sense of responsibility to society, encouraging Stoics to act with kindness and with a sense of fairness. Stoics see themselves as members of the larger humanity, and their actions should reflect a sense of mutual respect. In fact, one of the highest callings for a Stoic is to act in service. They recognize that others, whether through acts of kindness, support, or friendship, is not only virtuous, but also an essential part of living a meaningful. For the Stoic, the pursuit of virtue is inseparable from the service. The Stoic philosopher and statesman Epictetus often spoke Stoicism in the face of moderns. As we move through the complexities of the world, the timeless wisdom of Stoicism remains more relevant. In an era defined by rapid technological advance, constant connectivity, and the overwhelming influx of information, we find ourselves constantly bombarded by distractions and external. Social media, consumerism, and the relentless pursuit of success can often lead us to lose sight of what truly our inner personal growth and the cultivation. The Stoic philosophy teaches us how to navigate these modern challenges by focusing on what we control and letting go of. In the face of constant distress, the Stoic is reminded to reclaim their to focus on their internal rather than the external. By practicing mindfulness and maintaining a discipline, the Stoic can guard against the negative influences that pervade modern. The Stoic approach to modern challenges is not about retreating from the world or rejecting us. Rather, it is about using our modern tools and resources in alignment with ours, ensuring that we remain true to ourselves in the face of external. The Stoic understands that technology, social status, health are not inherently. They are. It is how we use them that defines their impact. For example, social media can either serve as a platform for meaningful and the sharing, or it can become a source of comparison, envy, and the Stoic recognizes that their time and attention are limited resources, and they choose wisely where to. They practice restraint, ensuring that their engagement with the external world does not lead them away from their purpose. Similarly, in a world that often prioritizes wealth, the Stoic focuses on what is truly virtue, wisdom, and relationship. The pursuit of wealth is not condemned, but the Stoic understands that it should never be an end. Wealth, like any external circumstance, is beyond our full control, and ultimately, the Stoic strives to use whatever resources they have with us and in alignment with their morals, understanding that true fulfillment comes from overcoming fear and anxiety. One of the most common challenges faced in the modern world is the prevalence of fear and anxiety. Whether it's the fear of failure, the anxiety of social commitment, or the uncertainty of these emotions can be dim. The Stoic, however, has a unique way of addressing fear, and they understand that fear often arises from attachment to things outside of all, whether it be external validation, the outcome of a project, or societal expectations. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control external, but we can control how we. When faced with fear or anxiety, the Stoic reframes what is in. They focus not on the fear itself, but on how they can respond with courage. By practicing the mindset, they break the cycle of worry and take action based on reason rather than emotion. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, encourages us to remind ourselves that the impediment to action advances. What stands in the way becomes. For Stoic, fear is not an obstacle to be avoided, but a challenge to be. It is in the face of fear that courage is born. The Stoic practices courage by choosing to act despite, recognizing that fear, like all emotions, is temporary and when viewed through the lens. By taking control of their internal, the Stoic transforms fear and anxiety into opportunities for growth. They learn to detach from the focusing instead on the process and the values that guide this. This approach not only reduces anxiety, but also increases resilience. As the Stoic learns to face life's unease with calmness and confidence. The importance of community and relationship. While Stoicism emphasizes individual self-mastery, it also recognizes the importance of community and relationships. The Stoic understands that human beings are inherently social, and our actions affect those. In fact, the Stoic sees living in harmony with others as an essential part of a virtue. Our relationships, whether with family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers, are opportunities to practice kindness and. The Stoic recognizes that their actions should contribute to the good, and they are guided by a sense of moral responsibility in their interactions. They practice fairness and empathy, even when others. The Stoic knows that true strength lies not in dominating or controlling, but in fostering positive, supportive relationships based on respect and mutual. Seneca emphasizes this in his line. We are waves of the same sea, leaves of the same tree, flowers of the same. This awareness of our interconnectedness reminds the Stoic that their own happiness is tied to the well-being. Thus, living virtuously means not only cultivating, but also contributing to the peace and happiness of those. The Stoic embraces the idea of finding fulfillment in helping others lead more virtuous, meaningful. The Stoic's guide to living with purpose. A core tenet of Stoicism is living with, aligning one's actions with their higher values, and avoiding distractions that pull us away from what's. In the fast-paced, distraction-filled world we live in, it is easy to become caught up in the constant pursuit of external validation and the external pressures of modernity. The Stoic, however, maintains a clear focus on living with intention, allowing them to create a life that is both fulfilling and full. Stoic, purpose is not something dictated by societal expectations, wealth, or fleeting, but something grounded in virtue. The Stoic knows that purpose is cultivated through conscious decision, regular self-reflection, and a deep commitment to living. By prioritizing what truly matters, virtue, wisdom, relationships, and service, the Stoic clears the clutter from their life and lives with clarity. The Stoic lives intentionally by setting goals that align with use. These goals are not focused on material gain, but on personal development and contributing positively. The Stoic does not seek wealth, fame, or success for their sake, but instead directs their efforts toward becoming the best version of themselves. Cultivate wisdom, resilience, and virtue in all aspects. When challenges arise, the Stoic returns to this, acting in accordance with their values and maintaining focus on their. This focus prevents the Stoic from being swayed by the short-term desires and distractions that often cloud them. Instead, they cultivate a sense of purpose that drives them to make decisions rooted in their deepest. The Stoic's relationship with pleasure. Stoicism offers a profound understanding of how to approach two forces that can easily dominate our lives. The Stoic does not avoid pleasure or pain, but instead understands that both are transient and should not be the ultimate sources. Pleasure, according to Stoicism, is not inherent. However, when we become overly attached to it or seek it out as the highest good, it can lead us. The Stoic avoids excess, practicing temperance in all things, so that they can enjoy life's pleasures without becoming enslaved. They recognize that pleasure is fleeting and that true happiness comes in through the cultivation of virtues such as wisdom, courage. Similarly, the Stoic does not seek pain or suffering, but they do know it. Pain, hardship, and loss are a natural life, and the Stoic accepts them. They understand that pain is temporary, and while it may be difficult, it provides an opportunity. The Stoic embraces suffering as an opportunity to exercise, to deepen their character, and to grow them. In this sense, pain becomes a teacher, one that helps the Stoic become more attuned to their values and strengthens. By detaching from both pleasure and pain, the Stoic creates a state of emotions, no longer ruled by desire. This state of equanimity allows them to approach both joy and suffering with a sense of calmness and clarity, making decisions that are guided by reason rather than impulse. The Stoic practice of Another important aspect of the Stoic philosophy is the practice of gratitude. While Stoicism emphasizes the acceptance of hardship and adversity, it also encourages us to cultivate an attitude of grounds us in the present moment and shifts our focus away from what we lack to what we already possess. By practicing gratitude, the Stoic cultivates a sense of appreciation for the simple blessings of life, such as good health, relationships, the ability to think clearly, and the opportunity to live virtuously. Gratitude is particularly powerful in times of need. When faced with challenges, the Stoic is encouraged to pause and reflect on what they still have control over, what lessons can be learned, and how adversity can contribute. Rather than being consumed by a sense of loss or frustration, the Stoic chooses to express gratitude for their ability, their inner strength, and the opportunity to rise above these. In fact, Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, often wrote in his meditations about the importance of being thankful for what life is. He reminds himself to be grateful for each new day and the chance to serve us. By embracing gratitude, the Stoic not only brings peace to heart, but also reinforces their commitment to living in accordance with nature. Practicing gratitude also helps the Stoic to maintain. In a world that constantly demands more, it can be easy to lose sight of what is true. Gratitude allows the Stoic to live with a sense of contentment, even in the face of scarcity, knowing that their true fulfillment comes from their inner character, not from external. The Stoic's relationship with time is one of our most precious, and the Stoic emphasizes the importance of using it. In a world that constantly distracts us with noise, entertainment, and the pursuit of transience, the Stoic is reminded that every moment is an opportunity to live. Seneca, in his On the Short Life, wrote, "It is not that we have a shift, but that we wait." The Stoic understands that time is limited and that the way we choose to spend it determines the quality of it. They strive to avoid the trap of wasting time on trivial pursuits or procrastinating on what. The Stoic views time as a gift, one that cannot be reclaimed. For this reason, they strive to use their time in ways, whether by engaging in work, cultivating relationships, practicing self-care, or contributing to the Stoic's life is not one of idle distractions, but of deliberate action aligned with it. By focusing on what is truly important and avoiding unnecessary things, the Stoic maximizes their potential growth, learning. They understand that life's fleeting nature calls for intention, and that true fulfillment comes from making each. In this way, the Stoic sees time not as an endless resource, but as something to be cherished and used. The role of virtue in Stoic leadership in the sense is rooted. Unlike leadership styles that focus power, control, or manipulation, Stoic leadership emphasizes service, integrity, and the well-being. The Stoic leader does not seek to dominate or manipulate others for gain, but instead leads by example, embodying the virtues they wish to. A Stoic leader understands that true leadership comes in. They focus on cultivating their own character, aligning their actions with values, and serving. By demonstrating wisdom, courage, justice, they inspire others. They act as a model of strength and integrity, demonstrating that true power comes not from externality, but from inner moral attitude. Stoic leadership is also characterized by resilience and the ability to navigate challenges. When faced with difficult situations or decisions, the Stoic leader remains calm and rational, focused on what is in control. They do not react impulsively or emotionally, but instead make decisions based on reason and a commitment to. Moreover, the Stoic leader is humble and aware of their own limits. They do not seek recognition or accolades, but are motivated by the desire to contribute positively to their community and to help them. Their leadership is defined by their ability to uplift others, to inspire virtue, and to create an environment where people thrive and contribute to the Stoicism and the modern struggle. As we live in an era defined by the pursuit of external success and materialization, Stoicism offers a philosophy that prioritizes internal growth over external. In a world full of distractions, where societal pressures encourage the chase for fears, the Stoic stands firm in their pursuit of virtue. This commitment to living purpose, guided by principles such as wisdom, courage, justice, serves as a reminder that true fulfillment comes not from externals, but from living a life of integrity and authenticity. The modern world is often filled with constant notifications, the pressure to succeed, and the temptation to compare ourselves. Social media exacerbates this by showcasing the highlights of lives, creating an environment of constant competition. Stoicism, however, invites us to turn inward and find value in the things that cultivate issue, connecting with those, and contributing positively to the world. The Stoic mindset offers a refuge from the relentless pursuit of external validation. It helps us disconnect from the constant chase for approval and success, allowing us to focus on the intrinsic value of living a life aligned with us. The Stoic understands that external circumstances, wealth, fame, and status are fleeting and beyond. What we can control, however, is our ability to live with wisdom, to act with kindness, and to navigate life's challenges. Facing uncertainty with Stoic. In an increasingly uncertain world, where global challenges, societal shifts, and personal crises can feel overwhelming, Stoicism provides a grounding fee. The Stoic acknowledges that uncertainty is part of the human experience, and that trying to control the uncontrollable only leads. Rather than resisting uncertainty, the Stoic embraces it, understanding that life is inherently possible. This acceptance of uncertainty frees the Stoic from the They know that they cannot foresee every outcome or control, but they can choose on. By focusing on the present moment and aligning their actions with views, the Stoic remains resilient and centered, no matter what holds. The Stoic is also deeply aware of the impermanent life. This recognition encourages them to embrace each day as an opportunity to live fully and to contribute meaningfully. Instead of becoming consumed with fears about the future or regrets of the past, the Stoic lives fully in the present, knowing that each moment is precious. And Stoicism and the cultivation of self-discipline is one of the key virtues in Stoicism. The Stoic understands that their happiness and success depend not on external sources, but on their ability to govern. By cultivating self-discipline, the Stoic is able to align their actions with their highest values, avoiding distractions and impulses that might. In today's world, where instant gratification and distractions are, the Stoics' practice of self-discipline is more than ever. From avoiding excessive consumption of social media to resisting the urge to act impulsively in stressful situations, The Stoic remains committed to the long-term goal of living wisely. Through regular practice, the Stoic strengthens their willpower and deepens their commitment to it. Self-discipline is not about rigid control or suppression of desires. Rather, it's about being aware of one's impulses and making conscious choices that align. The Stoic does not seek to eliminate all desires, but seeks to moderate them so that they do not control us. In this way, self-discipline enables the Stoic to live a life of purpose and intention, one that is not ruled by fleeting desires, but guided by rational thought and virtue. Stoicism and the modern struggle. As we live in an era defined by the pursuit of external success and materialization, Stoicism offers an alternative, a philosophy that prioritizes internal growth over external. In a world full of distractions, where societal pressures encourage the chase for others, the Stoic stands firm in their pursuit of meaning. This commitment to living with purpose, guided by principles such as wisdom, courage, justice, temperance, serves as a reminder that true fulfillment comes not from excellence, but from living a life of integrity and honesty. The modern world is often faced constant notifications, the pressure to succeed, and the temptation to compare others. Social media exacerbates this by showcasing the highlights of lives, creating an environment of constant competition. Stoicism, however, invites us to turn inward and find value in the things that are cultivating virtue, connecting with love, and contributing positively to us. The Stoic mindset offers a refuge from the relentless pursuit of extraction. It helps us disconnect from the constant chase for approval, allowing us to focus on the intrinsic value of living a life aligned. The Stoic understands that external circumstances, wealth, fame, status, are fleeting and what we can control, however, is our ability to wisdom, to act kindness, and to navigate life's challenges with facing uncertainty with. In an increasingly uncertain world where global challenges, societal shifts, and personal crises can be overwhelming, Stoicism provides a grounding fee. The Stoic acknowledges that uncertainty is part of the human experience, and that trying to control the uncontrollable only leads. Rather than resisting uncertainty, the Stoics is it, understanding that life is inherently possible. This acceptance of uncertainty frees the Stoic from the worry. They know that they cannot foresee every outcome or control event, but they can choose on. By focusing on the present moment and aligning their actions with views, the Stoic remains resilient and centered, no matter what the holds. The Stoic is also deeply aware of the impermanent life. This recognition encourages them to embrace day as an opportunity to live virtuously and to contribute meaning to the world. Instead of becoming consumed with fears about the future or regrets of the past, the Stoic lives present, knowing that each moment is precious. Stoicism and the cultivation of self-discipline is one of the key virtues in Stoicism. The Stoic understands that their happiness and success depend not on external sources, but on their ability to. By cultivating self-discipline, the Stoic is able to align their actions with their highest values, avoiding distractions and impulses that might. In today's world where instant gratification and distraction everywhere, the Stoics' practice of self-discipline is more important than ever. From avoiding excessive consumption of media to resisting the urge to act impulsively in stressful situations, the Stoic remains committed to the long-term goal of living wisely. Through practice, the Stoic strengthens their willpower and deepens their commitment to goals. Self-discipline is not about rigid control or suppression. Rather, it's about being aware of one's impulses and making conscious choices that align. The Stoic does not seek to eliminate all desires, but seeks to moderate them so that they do not control. In this way, self-discipline enables the Stoic to live a life of purpose, tension, one that is not ruled by fleeting desires, but guided by rational thought and action. Stoicism and the important legacy. One of the most profound aspects of Stoic philosophy is its emphasis on the importance, not in the sense of material fame, but in terms of the moral and virtuous life. The Stoic asks, what impact will I have on those around me? For the Stoic, legacy is not about accumulating accolades or status, but about the way they lived, the character they embodied, and the relationship. The Stoic seeks to leave behind a legacy of integrity, wisdom, and kindness, not only through their actions, but through the influence they have on others. By living a life of virtue, the Stoic inspires others to follow the same path, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond time. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us that we are all part of the whole. He writes, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be." This is a reminder that our actions have an impact on the collective good, and our legacy is shaped by how we contribute to the lives of others and the community at large. The Stoics' legacy is virtue, a lasting imprint on the world that transcends time and continues to inspire others. The enduring wisdom of Stoic. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, the wisdom of Stoic philosophy provides us with the tools to live with brilliance, wisdom, and purpose. In an era filled with distractions and pressures, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what matters: our character, our relationships, and our contributions. By embracing the core principles of Stoicism, wisdom, courage, justice, we can live lives that are deeply fulfilling, regardless of external circumstances. Stoicism teaches us to face life's challenges with calmness and clarity, to rise above the distractions and superficial pursuits that often dominate our attention, and to remain grounded in the pursuit of virtue. The Stoic path is one of continual growth, self-reflection, and resilience. It invites us to focus on the moment, to act in accordance with our values, and to cultivate a sense of peace and purpose that transcends the fleeting challenge of life. By embracing Stoic principles, we are not only empowered to live more fulfilling lives, but we also inspire others. As we continue to path, let us remember that true power does not lie in control over others or the accumulation of achievements. It lies in the mastery of ourselves, the ability to live virtuously, to respond to life's challenges with grace, and to leave behind a legacy of lasting influence and impact. By walking the Stoic path, we not only transform our own lives, but we contribute to the greater good and leave a legacy of strength, wisdom, and virtue. This final continuation underscores the timeless relevance of Stoicism in the modern world. It emphasizes how the Stoic principles can help us navigate the challenges of life, cultivate lasting inner strength, and leave a legacy of virtue and competence. If you'd like further elaboration on any aspect or have additional questions about practices, feel